Yeah, it's the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak, my man, Steve Kallas, right there, star of the show. How you doing, bro?
All good, Joe. Great to be with you as always.
You too. Well, it's down to one. The finals, NHL in the books. We'll get to that in a little bit. NBA, going to go one more game. One and done for the whole thing. The Pacers last night, got to give them credit. They were down 10-2 real quick. And then it wasn't a ball game. They were up 30 at the end of three, 22 at the end of the half. Tyrese Halliburton made some shots, scored, I think, 14 points. He was actually a plus 24, 25, the greatest plus minus of anybody on the game last night. I know he only played 23 minutes, and that was probably the right call. They destroyed OKC. I don't know how that happens because it's a different game when they're in Oklahoma City. But here we go. Anything can happen in the game seven, and here we are Sunday night. Your thoughts?
SGA, 8 turnovers. Jalen Williams wasn't like he was, but you got to give all the credit to the Pacers, it seems to me. OKC, season low 27% from three. They're not a live by the three, die by the three team by any means, in my view, anyway. And they couldn't throw the ball in the ocean, and it seemed like the more they got behind, it almost became like, oh, we better shoot a bunch of threes because we're losing by 10, we're losing by 15, we're down 22 at the half, and it only got worse. I mean, the score of the game doesn't indicate what a beatdown it was because the subs cut it to 17 or 18, whatever it was.
Wasn't that close.
Yeah, 17, I'm sorry. And so I don't know what to say except OKC's, you play, they say you play all year for home court advantage and stuff, and that's exactly what they need because if they were playing these games in Indiana, they're just not the same team. This is to me the difference. Now, look, the Pacers won the first game, but that was right after, wasn't that after game seven with Denver?
The Pacers won game one on a Halliburton last second shot. They,
Right, but
they came
but it was
back
a
and
game. It was a game, I thought, because I think they must have OKC must have still been tired from, wasn't Denver just a few days earlier, game seven?
no, I thought they
Maybe.
had some time. I thought they had a little bit of time off.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't surprised that they got one, but this was crazy yesterday. But
Hey, if in game four, I mean, if Oklahoma City doesn't stage that fourth quarter comeback, they're done. They were about to go down 3 games to one. They pulled it out. Nice job. They needed to do that. They got their game on the road.
yeah.
Kind of balanced it out. So okay, but this series a little. I can't even. I mean, I think yes. By looking at it, to me, it tells me Oklahoma City, if they play their game, they're probably going to run away with it. But I can't even tell anymore. These games are so lopsided. You
Hey,
don't.
you picked the Pacers, man. Right now, that's a lot better than I thought it would be because I didn't think they really had a chance to win the series.
Well, I also go anytime like 110% of people like one side. I kind of go. You know what I
You
mean?
go the
Like I
other.
couldn't find any Pacer pickers, so I'm like, all right, I'll take them. But I have liked I liked them against the New York Knicks. I like the way they've been playing. I watched them look. They destroyed Cleveland, and I know what's his name, Donovan wasn't healthy per se, but I like
Well,
they're tall. They hit a lot of three pointers. They seem like they were in sync this whole way, and they kind of had that momentum going. And with Halliburton making last second shots, it was kind of like maybe this is their moment, their time to make a run. We'll see. I mean, I'm just thrilled there's a game seven.
yeah, and I think again, when you look at guys like, we certainly have to mention our guy TJ McConnell. I mean, my
He should
goodness,
win the con. He should have won the Conn Smythe the other night. Like I love him.
I don't know how he does what he does. He's 33, smallest guy in the court. He had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. And Halliburton, when he was interviewed after the game, I thought this was pretty funny, actually. I don't know if people will be offended by it, but Halliburton said that on the team, they call McConnell the Great White Hope. But I got to tell you, we always talked about Kawhi being the mid-range shooter. This guy and his mid-range is shorter than most others. Somehow he gets in the paint. He's 10 feet away, 12 feet away, and he gives it all on his jumper and he fades a little and it's like impossible to block. You got guys guarding him. You got two, three different guys, and it didn't matter. in all these games. In fact, looking back now, the interesting issue I thought after the prior game was they stuck with Halliburton.
Right. I would have
He
the
was
way
hurt.
he was killing it, I would have again, I'm not the coach. I don't know exactly what's going on. But the way McConnell was playing and Halliburton having the strained calf, I mean, I'm keeping that. We were the Sixers. It was a joke because no one wanted him to get traded. Every time he's out there, he's instant energy. Like you give him 15 minutes and he'll put up like 15 points and eight
Well,
rebounds.
interesting to me is they played them together yesterday. I don't think they usually did that in the past. It was either one or the other, and Halliburton was going to play 38, 40 minutes or whatever, and McConnell was still good, but he was only going to get his 6, 7 minutes. Now he's getting more minutes. Now they're playing together. If they win game seven, I say it's going to be because those two guys are going to be on the court together. And now Halliburton has a couple more days to get healthy. He looked pretty good to me, obviously, and he made some big threes when he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean the game
Right?
before, of course. And but not that TJ McConnell would ever win the MVP, but I got to tell you, his value to that team is absolutely incredible. I've never seen a little guy like that get into the paint, take that fadeaway
Every
jumper.
time I
You
see him, he's
know, usually going to his right. When he goes left, he doesn't have as much success. But my goodness, he's energy that never stops.
never stops, and it's nice to have that. And I always point out to my girl, like, watch him play. Like, almost never makes a mistake. Like, he won't make every shot, but he does everything right. His passes, he hustles like he's all over the place.
And the other guy, one more guy for me, Obi Toppin off the bench, 20
Yep.
points, 6 rebounds. As a Knick fan, I'm sitting there going, man, he didn't shoot threes like that. As a, and I no, I went and looked it up. He was like a low 30s, maybe one year he got to 34, and now he's more like high 30s, even 40% one year. And in the playoffs, I don't know what he is, but my goodness, he's hitting threes like they're foul shots. So you got to give him credit because he's a great athlete, as everybody knows. But now he's a great athlete who can shoot it, and that's just another guy who comes off the bench, and you go, "Oh my goodness!" So he didn't do that in New York. That's all I'll say, Joe.
All right. Well, we shall see. Good stuff. I like the
Oh,
fact
if
that,
I can give you one more stat, though.
yeah.
So the last four times, well, I'll give you the last three. You probably knew the quiz. Johnny knew it. I didn't know it. The last team who came back from 3-1 to win. The last team that came back from, I'm sorry, 3-2, lost game six, and then won game seven, were the Cavs.
I was going to say the Cavs.
And then before that, it was the Heat in 2013. And before that, it was the Lakers in 2010. All three of them won game seven, even though the lifetime record
Yeah.
is 9-10 for teams who won game six to force a game seven. But the last three times it's happened, the Pacers of those series won game seven. So that's pretty interesting to me, even though, the other teams I assume were on their home court at the time.
Well,
But
you needed like epic game sixes. You remember the Heat? What's his name? Ray Allen hit that shot. They were dead in
yeah.
that game. I mean, that's one that what's his name? Coach of the Spurs said he'll take to his grave because they had a championship locked up. He hits that shot, then they win in
Oh,
game seven.
Popovich, yeah.
Yeah, Popovich, because that rebound came right out. He steps back, hits a three, and sends it into overtime. And then you talk about the Cavs; they're down 3-1 in that series, and LeBron makes a ridiculous comeback. That's the one where Draymond Green got suspended in Game Six. And then the Lakers, I can't recall the one you're talking about, but yeah, I could.
2010, I assume, isn't that Kobe and Shaq? Or
Was
is it
that
after?
against it?
Or is it
Was that against the Celtics? Because they won a game seven when Ron Artest hit that ridiculous shot in game seven. Kobe had a terrible game seven, but Ron Artest hit hit a three-pointer, like some ridiculous shot. He's not a big three-point guy, but I have Boston fans who still talk about Ron Artest. So I think it was that. I remember I watched that game. But
Who
yeah,
was at the game yesterday, by the way?
what's that?
Who was at the game
Oh, was
yesterday?
he? I freaking love it. I love it, love it, love it. So looking forward to it. Okay, time for a little hockey talk. Final, same as last year, which rarely happens. In Florida, listen, that game four was I mean, very entertaining, and watching Leon Draisaitl do his thing and come back from 3-0 down because they were getting obliterated. It's what I kind of say, like the Panthers, when they relax, they look like an ordinary team. And then when they like, all right, guys, we got to get serious. We go back to Edmonton, series tied at 2, a ridiculous comeback that hasn't happened since like 1919 or something when you're down 3-0 on the road in the finals. Edmonton does it, winning overtime. I mean, 3 out of the 4 first 4 games went to overtime. Pretty entertaining. And then Florida shut them down 10-3 after that. And they did their thing. And that's the third straight finals they've been to, second straight cup. Pretty impressive.
Well, I gotta say, after the Oilers did what they did in Game 4, which was incredible, I thought they were going to win the series. I liked them before the series. It's as much I'd like Canada to win a cup. I don't feel like the U.S. is stealing from them or anything. But to me, McDavid is lost in Edmonton, but that's to me because I'm a New York guy, and what's he doing out there? Um, but as you said, the best team won. I'm a little shaky on the Reinhardt 4 goals. He ties the all-time
I
record for
mean, I
most
mean,
goals in the
they
Stanley, and two of them, not one of them, but two of
were
them.
empty netters.
So you know how this goes on TV. They said, "Oh, this is the first time it's happened in the Cup final since 1957." So I'm like, "Okay, you're going to tell me who it is?"
What wasn't it the pocket rocket? Was it Marie?
Oh, Pocket Rocket is Henri, but Rocket Richard, right? The
Oh, I
Rocket,
thought it was his brother. Okay, it was Rocket. Okay.
yeah. Well, he's
Gretzky did it too. Gretzky did it too. It gets the Flyers in '87.
right. But when they said, when they had Rocket Richard, the first thing I thought of is, well, did he score an empty netter? And I Googled it. It's so interesting. You get AI now, and it said there's like no evidence that he did. But I went and looked at the goals. He scored 3 in the second period, and then he scored his fourth with a minute, 18:57, 19, with a minute and 3 seconds left in the game. That kind of says pulled the goalie to me. But I don't know that they did. I couldn't find like empty net goal like you would find today. And then I read where Richard had tied the record of Ted Lindsay. Ted Lindsay was on the Gordie Howe Red Wings and was a great player in his own right. And Ted Lindsay did score 4 goals without getting an empty netter. I don't know why I'm like on that. I'll never forget the Messier, tonight we'll win. And yes, he scored a hat. He got a hat trick, and the third goal was an empty netter. I'm not taking anything away from these guys, but when Reinhardt gets 2 empty netters, that's a little
Yeah, I was like,
much.
I was like, I was talking to some friends. I go, all right, who's got the Conn Smythe? And then he keeps scoring. I'm like, hey, they better announce it sooner. They're going to give it to this guy. He keeps scoring goals. He's like, he's up to
Well, and
four.
I will say the one thing for Edmonton, and we talked about this a few times, is they didn't have Zach Hyman. Now, Hyman 2 years ago scored 54 goals, and this year he only had 27. But what people don't know, and I picked up on Edmonton towards the end of the year, and I love McDavid. I mean, he makes Draisaitl the great scorer that Draisaitl is. I understand they're both Hall of Famers. But Zach Hyman is a real physical player as well. He's one of those in front of the net guys. Their power play was horrific this year, and he had, so many power play goals the year before. But in the playoffs last year, so Bennett gets the Conn Smythe. He's got 15
And
goals in the
15
playoffs,
goals.
and he's like the third all time. Well, Zach Hyman is second. He had 16 goals last year. And this year, I think he had 6 goals and 5 assists before he got hurt. And again, he's a physical presence. And if anything, the Panthers out physical the Oilers.
Sure.
So people will say, well, he had 54 2 years ago, but only 27 this year. And so blah, blah, blah. But, they got beat up. Panthers beat them up when they wanted to. In fact, I don't know if you'll like this, but a friend of mine who is a hockey fan said, yeah, they're the 74-75 Flyers of today. But we all know, including New York fans, how good players they were. They were the Broadway, the bullies.
Yeah, the
But
Billies.
but they had some guys who were, I mean, Clark was an incredible player, and I'm sure you can name 6 others. But yeah, when it got physical, the Panthers out physical the Oilers. I love McDavid. He's kind of I don't want to say a soft player, but they looked to get him and they got him. And they could have used Zach Hyman. I'm in no way saying that he would have flipped the series. If it was last year, I would have said it because he had 16 goals in the playoffs last year. That's one more than Bennett, who won the Conn Smythe this year. and I forget who was ahead of him. There's one guy ahead of him who I think had 17 or something. The other thing I'll say in defense of the Rocket Richards of the world is when he played, there were only two series. So you could
Oh,
only play
really?
14 games. You can't compare 14 games of an attempt to score goals with 28 games or whatever they played.
Right, right.
So, I'm a little, in the history of the NHL that, we talk about this stuff all the time. Nobody cares, but I do. And, but, Panthers get all the credit. And Maurice, after the game, he was pretty emotional, back-to-back cups, and good for him. Um,
Do they
I don't know
win?
what
Do they win without Brad Marchand? Because he really kept them alive early in that series.
I thought he could have got the Conn Smythe
I did
myself.
too. I
I
did too.
understand you score 15 goals. Maybe that's automatic. Bobrovsky played, for the most part, he played really well. This is, as you know, for the whole playoffs. This
Yes,
is
it's for the whole playoffs.
just, just for the finals. And, I don't know if they made the right with their goalies. I don't know. Pickard was like
It's
6
tough.
and 0. Then
It's
you
kind of a
know,
tough call there, but they didn't have. If you look at some of the Panthers, looked like the Edmonton Oilers of '87 with the way they were picking corners and just like the shots. Again, they roll four lines at you that are just very good and they come at you in ways. But those guys, some of the goals they were scoring were ridiculous.
well, I mean, they pulled Skinner in that 3-0 game, right? And
Yep.
that's when Pickard, who was 6 and 0, he came
Yep.
on. He gets the win, I think, in
He did
hockey.
get the win.
And so they went with him, and they went with Stewart in game 7. Just not Skinner. I'm sorry, did I say Stewart? Don't mind me.
That's all
Uh,
right.
but it was tough. It was tough to determine which was the right call. And now people can look back and say, well, the last two games, Panthers scored 10 goals. Again, I'm not defending them. Two of them were empty netters, but still 8 goals in the playoffs in 2 games is not good. So,
And they outscored them in the first period in the series 13-4. They had two goals in every game. In 6 games, they had two goals in the first period.
and that's how you stay in front and get big wins. But that's how you get blowout wins like 5-2, 5-1 in hockey. Again,
Right.
goalies pulled, I get all that. But Panthers get all the credit. Apparently they broke the Stanley Cup, but that's not the real Stanley Cup or something. Some threw it somewhere. I think they know the Stanley Cup's going to take a beating when you give it to the team and everybody gets it for a day or whatever the rule.
It does take a beating. There's a lot of dents and nicks, and they have
Yeah.
that one guy as a full-time job for as long as I can remember. Who he's got like blonde platinum hair. He's getting a little old, but he wears the white gloves, and he's
Yep.
always comes out. It's pretty outrageous presentation when they bring the cup out because it's when it's a clinching game, you'll hear, I did it when 2000, the cup's in the building tonight. Like that's a big thing when it's actually in the building and you know that it could be trotted out there. It's almost like its own, thing. It's pretty cool. It's
Yes,
pretty
sir.
cool. But I mean, I got to give credit to Florida. I mean, and Keith Kachuk wasn't even like 2 years ago when he scored all those goals and then the cup run last year. He's phenomenal and he scores big goals and he's a tremendous. He's not even the captain. He's the assistant captain. People don't even realize that Alexander Barkov's the captain um, of that team. But they roll and I believe they have three free agents, unrestricted free agents going into next year. Three. You get one or two of them, and you about pretty much have your same team. Tough to do. Three in a row, just getting to the final is tough to do in hockey. Got to
Oh,
give credit. I know Vegas beat them first year, and then after Florida knocked off the Bruins, who won like 62 games, and Bruins they didn't even make the playoffs this year. 2 years later, they didn't make the playoffs. Marchand goes to Florida. It's like crazy, crazy stuff.
yeah, his cups are like 14 years apart or something. I
He
don't
won
know.
in 11,
Okay.
2011. Yeah, 2011 they won. They lost two. They lost to St. Louis in Game 7 at home, and they lost to not Vancouver. They lost to Chicago. That was one of the three cups Chicago won. So they've been hanging around, but it's tough to win. That shows you how tough it is to win a cup.
Correct.
One cup with those teams, but good stuff. So we got to wait till next year to see what happens. But I think Florida's going to be a prohibitive favorite again. How about that? 4 cups in 6 years for a Florida team. A state that you can't get water to freeze, and they won 4 cups in 6 years. Good
You're right.
stuff, man. All right, well. We will maybe we'll come back early next week after game seven, which is Sunday night, 8 o'clock in Oklahoma City. Should be interesting. Oklahoma City's never won. They came close a few years ago, but never got it done. Good
Yeah.
stuff, man. You can catch Steve's stuff on his daily Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas. Also, his videos on WestchesterCountyPost.com. This podcast on YouTube weekly and on all the audio outlets. Follow me on Twitter at JoeStaszak975 or on Instagram at JoeStaszak4799. Good stuff, brother. Have a good weekend, and we'll check back with you. I'll be texting you Sunday night.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
Take care. Thanks, folks, for watching, and have a great weekend.